Well, China is reportedly tightening its grip on critical minerals it supplies to Western defense companies. According to a Wall Street Journal report, Beijing's control over rare earths is delaying production and driving up the cost of key materials used to make weapons, jets, and drones. Jon Emont is a senior reporter for the Wall Street Journal. He co-wrote that piece and joins us now. Jon, thanks for being here with us. So what exactly is happening here? Is China cutting off all exports of these critical minerals or just targeting defense-related uses?
Thanks. That's a great question, and thanks so much for having me. So starting in December, really, China began banning the exports of certain minerals that are needed for defense equipment, things like antimony, to the United States. And that was more or less a total ban. Then during the trade war in April, they expanded that to rare earths. It wasn't a complete ban, but they established this new system for rare earths, which are very needed in all sorts of industrial uses, but including weapon systems, including things like F-35 fighter jets and the like. And since then, there's been a lot of trade negotiations. This has hit American industry hard. We have seen a loosening of rare earths and rare earth magnet exports to the United States from China, but not so for companies that are linked to the defense industry. From what we've reported and from the people I've spoken with and my colleagues have spoken with, it remains very difficult for American defense companies to acquire these materials.
Now, Jon, can you give us some perspective? How reliant are we on these materials, and which systems are the most vulnerable right now?
Sure. I'm very, very reliant. So a lot of these are really niche materials, things like samarium or germanium or antimony. These aren't, minerals you would commonly think about, but they're either mainly or almost exclusively produced in China, in some cases really exclusively produced in China. So there aren't alternatives, and some of them are quite important in certain niche functions. So for example, samarium cobalt magnets are needed in a lot of military equipment that gets to a really high temperature. They're able to maintain their magnetic properties at very high temperatures. So they're needed in things like fighter jet engines. But it's really hard to get samarium right now. So I speak with traders, the people who maybe either have stockpiles of some of these materials that they're still able to sell to companies, or are good at acquiring it, finding, who know who outside of China might still have some. And they're having a much tougher time, and they're seeing prices for these increasingly scarce materials skyrocket.
Now, Jon, you reported that the Pentagon has set a deadline in 2027 to stop using China-sourced rare earth magnets. How realistic is that timeline?
So the timeline is that by 2027, the magnets can't use materials that have been mined in China. So that'll be tough. I think that'll be tough. It means that you're going to have magnets for the Defense Department that are totally separate from China, won't have anything to do with China. But it is achievable. The DoD, the Department of Defense, has invested a lot recently to try to achieve this. But yeah, a lot more needs to be done, and it's something that we should all be watching closely over the coming months.
All right, Jon Emont from the Wall Street Journal, thanks for joining us.